Christopher Bell.
The regular season champion has won the regular season finale.
That's the trophy they're hoping to hoist at the end of the season in Homestead, Miami, but it all starts right here on this short track as the field now following the 2020 Toyota GR Supra. It's the official pace car for tonight's Go Bowling 250. Take a look at the starting grid. Austin Cindric and Justin Allgaier, they will be scheduled to be in row one. But we just heard that that Allgaier will be headed to the back of the field because they had to change a tire. So that front row starting position now gone for Allgaier. Haley, Gregson back there in row 4, playoff contenders. Let's see if we can dial up Tyler Reddick. He's way up there in row 2.
Hey Tyler, all the guys up in the booth, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Hey man, your boss, Richard Childress, last week gave you the ultimate compliment, said, minded you of Kel Yarborough. What'd that make you feel like?
Well, it made me feel really good. It was a heck of a compliment. It was, I guess we're pretty close to the same height, so who knows?
Well, what about tonight, man? This track's really tough. A little short track racing action. What you got for us?
Well, you know, we didn't really have the practice we wanted, but felt like I qualified about 25th, and when my crew chief Randall Burnett came on and told me qualified 3rd, I was starting to feel really good about tonight.
Well, we'll be watching, man. Good luck, guys.
All right, let's go ahead and jump up to the outside lane.
We're going to ride along with a few different drivers. One of those is going to be Tyler Reddick. He's got the Sonic on board, and he's also got the helmet cam.
I love this view right here. So realistic. Right here, we're on board with the 20 of Christopher Bell with the Toyota onboard camera. Look back, you have that clear shield. You're able to see his eyes working the windshield, working the mirror.
The lead filter cam with Justin Haley. We've got a couple shots. This one right here is going to be fantastic. I hope for Justin that camera's still on there when the night's over.
I was wondering what the over or under on that was. And how about the 00 of Cole Custer with the Mobile One onboard camera? We got a good look at Cole in his office doing work. We also got a little bit of a shot out the side of this car. We'll see some side-by-side action on the restarts for sure right here. Looking out the right side for Cole's benefit. I hope we see cars on that side of him. That's a good sign if they're to your right.
And let's go back to Parker.
And guys, you know, every playoffs there's someone that surprises us. Well, a car that a lot of people have their eyes on, the 19 of Brandon Jones. They've been so close to a win throughout his time in that 19 car. They told me they just need something to go their way. They feel like maybe it's all leading for it to go their way in these playoffs, Dylan.
Parker, Justin Haley and the 11 team admit short tracks have not been a strong suit for them this year. That's why they came into today with a fresh outlook and a different setup approach than normal. Has that been a good move? Well, so far, yes. He's had speed all day, but it's money time. This group is confident, though, Kelly.
Rookie Chase Briscoe and this 98 team have proved that they only get better when they return to short tracks this season. When they returned to Iowa, they won. When they returned to Bristol, they finished runner-up. Their first time here at Richmond as a group. Chase Briscoe was 8th. He's hoping to keep that trend alive here tonight. Dave?
Kelly, no driver has ever won all 3 National Series championships. Christopher Bell has a Truck Series championship trophy. Talk of him going to Cup so soon. He needs to win this Xfinity one. It's on his mind, Rick.
Yeah, now Christopher Bell, because of Allgaier going to the back, Christopher Bell moves up a spot. He'll be in the front row with Austin Cindric.
This first corner is really tough. Low air pressure. It's the first time these guys have driven down here with this cool temperature with the low air pressure like that. Let's see who can hit the lines, hit their marks.
2 by 2 out of turn 4. The playoffs are underway. Way up high goes the 9 of Noah Gregson.
Well, Gregson trying that outside lane. It might come in later, but it's not ready right now.
Christopher Bell right on the quarter panel of Austin Cindric through 3 and 4, and the caution comes out.
There's a car slow on the backstretch down low. I see the hood flap up. That tells me that pretty good chance it had gone around. Looks like something is broken. The tires are still inflated, but it's sparking like it's laying on the ground. No, it's sparking because the bumper is pushed onto the ground.
Yeah, front contact. A lot of contact. Front end's damaged, the rear end's damaged.
Where were they all going on that first lap, Jeff? You looked at me, I looked at you like, have they not been watching Richmond races? That third lane is not ready.
And by the way, this is Mike Marlar, and this was supposed to be his first Xfinity Series start, and it didn't work out, obviously, the way he had wanted it to go. So a difficult start for Marlar, difficult start for this field.
Pretty wild restart for Noah Gragson here as we get ready to come back to green. Way up the track in 1 and 2, almost into the back of the 98 car through 3 and 4 here. Pretty early to be doing that kind of stuff with a playoff driver. Here they go.
Great restart for Harrison Burton, who's in the 18. He's actually moved up a couple spots on that first lap. He is slotted in the 3rd position. It's Austin Cindric, Christopher Bell, Harrison Burton. And then back to the 2 of Tyler Reddick. And a little bit loose there. Gragson aggressively trying to get by.
Aggression is the word for the 9. He's been 3 lanes up the racetrack. There he ran the top of 3 and 4. It worked. That's what got him the run on the 2 of Reddick, but he had to cross some overs. Spun the rear tires doing it. We'll see how well this 9 rolls the bottom as we see that. Christopher Bell to the outside of Cindric for the race lead.
Yeah, Christopher Bell drove into turn 3 on the outside of Cindric. I don't think Cindric was expecting that this early in the race. The outside to work that well.
It just worked for Christopher Bell, new leader at Richmond.
Still this side-by-side battle. Noah drove underneath the 2 of Reddick. Look at this mess as the 7 of Allgaier trying to work himself back to the front.
Yeah, you mentioned side-by-side. Well, Allgaier, with that flat tire, had to start at the back of the field. And look, where do you go? And how much do you push? 2 wide, 3 wide. Now he's on the bottom of 3 wide. Drives in even deeper into the corner 3 wide.
You know, I know it's nerve-wracking, right? This is fun to do, but not with the playoffs. Not with all that's on the line. It's fun to start in the back and drive yourself to the front, but golly, man, these guys get in a wreck and you get your car torn up, and that could start the playoffs off in a negative way for Justin.
Well, it's not just Allgaier in the 7. If you look back to the right a little bit, there's a white car with a black nose at number 23 that just made contact. John Hunter Nemechek, also, we covered it at the beginning. His car wouldn't even start in qualifying. The good news is his car is fired up and running. The bad news is way back in traffic. Patience, patience, young man. Patience right here. I know you want to go, but you got to keep those fenders clean. This is an aero track. If you smash those fenders in, your car is not going to run well.
Not only that,
Steve, that's exactly what they're coaching. Sorry to interrupt, Jeff. Steve, that's exactly what they're telling John Hunter right now. Just be patient. Don't burn the tires off it. You're better than all these guys in front of you. So they're trying to make sure he just bides his time going through this. Good news, the car is a little free right now. That's helping him maneuver around and move around, moving past this slower traffic.
It's a great update by Dylan. And Jeff, that's what I'd like to hear as a crew chief. It's a little free. Because if you were tight, I'd be worried. I think the track's going to get tighter. So if it's turning well now, I think that's going to be good. This is a car you talked about all day, how good this was 11 was in practice.
Yeah, Justin Haley told me at Vegas that he was scared to death of this race. They were terrible at this racetrack, but in practice, he had a really good car. See Cole Custer on the outside. I was really surprised Cole Custer did not qualify any better than he did back in 12th place. I thought Cole had a top 4 car in practice, so he has his workout. And what they got to do, you got to be a little patient here because you can absolutely kill these tires early in this run at this racetrack. So you want to get as many as you can, but you can't do it and kill your tires.
Inch at a time, Rick, an inch at a time as we're on this front bumper, the 11 of Haley. He's going to turn in, look for that left front to catch that yellow paint. Actually grip on that paint right there. Oh, look how well it rolled the bottom right there, right up to the rear bumper of Annette. And I love this shot right here. You actually see the rear suspension on this one car working. You see those tires deflect a little bit. You see the back of the car slide around as he tries to apply the throttle.
Justin Haley, the youngest of the playoff drivers at 20 years old. And we see the 22. Now, a lot of pressure coming from Harrison Burton in that 18. That's for the 2nd spot.
When I look at Harrison and all his experience, a track like Richmond really jumps out at me. So much time in super late models where you have to worry about tire conservation. So his patience is really going to be tested here because these cars are much heavier and much more power. That's the big step, I think, from late models to the Xfinity Series, is if you push it, you talked about all that power and burn up those rear tires, I think it can happen here quicker than in any other series.
When you use the word experience, you really can't say that about Harrison Burton at this racetrack, because I talked to him earlier today and he said, I don't know what to expect. I've never been here before in an Xfinity car, so this is something that the feel, I've got to learn it as this race goes on.
And I'm sure he doesn't listen to his dad.
I was going to say, I feel bad for him because that's the only I was having to talk to him. I mean, he's lucky to be able to get around here at all.
Kelly.
Well, I asked Harrison how he prepared for this race, given that it's his first time here in any sort of car. And he told me he went back and watched a bunch of old race broadcasts starting from about 4 years back. He watched for what worked to win the race, what didn't, and how to get around guys. He said it's so hard to pass here. If you get to the outside, if you can do it, if you can get to the outside, you can usually make the pass stick, but it's just getting to that point that's hard, Dave.
Kelly, we saw the 20 of Christopher Bell go around the 22 of Austin Cindric and now has pulled out to a 2-second lead. Cindric was told before this race started, one more time, remember, we qualified great, but we're points racing. Got to get as many as we can. So a little patience here, Rick, as he gets started. Didn't try too hard to block the 20.
That's interesting. The word patience continues to come up. Short track racing, you don't hear that much. Although 56 laps to go in stage 1.
Now Harrison has worked and done a nice job to get to the bottom of the racetrack, but clearing this position can be the toughest thing and not use those rear tires. Cindric's going to battle back on the outside. One more good set of corners, and that 18 car should be clear.
Running now. Just set your good pace after that.
Right there. That looks really good. Joe Gibbs' car out there leading with Christopher Bell. Now a Joe Gibbs car in second with Harrison Burton. Another car that started at the back, Justin Allgaier, up to 13th. In only 20 laps. Points are going to be paid in 55 more laps. And guys, Justin Allgaier is on pace to easily score points in this first stage.
That's huge. I mean, it's really big. Brandon Jones, he's fallen back to 11th. Segan 13th. John Hunter Nemechek, he's worked himself up to 19th. But you said it, that 7 car, he's getting ready to start passing some cars and knocking them out of points.
And we got to remember that it's not only playoff drivers that are out here on the racetrack. You have Harrison Burton, who's not running for the championship, not a playoff driver. He's running in second. Gray Gaulding right now is running in the 8th position. I think it's a great run for Gray.
That's a really good run. Gray Gaulding and his team in this 08 car, they don't have the funding. That's a Junior Motorsports car behind them, a Collett car behind them. They don't have that kind of funding. Really good job by this team.
After the first lap was complete, it's been green flag racing, and it's been Christopher Bell who's been able to get up front. Luckily, he hasn't had to deal with this. That's what short track racing is all about. 29 laps complete of the Xfinity Series Go Bowling 250. NASCAR Drive, that is your live race day companion. Visit NASCAR.com/drive, or you can download the NASCAR mobile app today. Up front, Christopher Bell has a 3.9-second lead over Harrison Burton, and Harrison Burton right now has his hands full. Austin Cindric has been all over him for that second position. Tyler Reddick, Noah Gragson, all the way up into the top 5 position.
You mentioned the lead by Christopher Bell, but it was calm for a while. Now he has caught some heavy traffic at the back of the field. Luckily for him, the second groove has really come in, so he climbs the banking here in 1 and 2. Kind of, we're on the outside.
This is where you really have to trust the guys you're racing with. You have to trust they know you're there.
Christopher Bell, what an amazing run he has had on short tracks. The last 10 short tracks, 5 wins and 3 runner-up positions. So think about that. 80% of the short tracks he's run, he's finished one or two. That's pretty good.
I would take that average.
So Noah Gragson in the 9, staying in front of the 2 of Tyler Reddick now.
I think these two are tired of each other already. I mean, they've been around each other the entire race. See Reddick working that second lane. We've been watching that, Steve. We saw Christopher Bell up there making good lap time. Austin Cindric ran up there and made good lap time. And that 98, Chase Briscoe, see where he is. Look at that run. He gets on corner exit. I think you're going to start seeing more cars run up in that higher lane. And there's a lot of Cup drivers watching right now that are liking what they see. They want that second groove to work in for tomorrow night's race.
And Jeff, you know, the interesting thing is we're starting to see the long run cars start to come to the front, especially Noah Gragson, that 9 car. When he got by the 2 of Tyler Reddick, he turned the fastest lap on the racetrack, and he told me he loves this place because it's a driver's racetrack. He said, everything I do at the beginning of a run affects later in the run. He said, I love that. I can make a huge difference in the speed of this race car, and he loves the long run. Right now, that car's looking pretty sporty, Kelly.
And behind him, we see Chase Briscoe in that 98, who was finally able to work his way around Tyler Reddick. After his qualifying run, he said he had tire chatter, thought it was only going to be good enough for a 25th starting position. Well, it was good enough for 5th, but now he's got some new issues here early in this race.
69, did it get better after you turned the fan on? No, it got worse, getting worse. Turn them back off, they're too cold. You got to use them longer, get some heat in them.
So they're talking about the brakes. They're having some brake shake and just trying to get more heat to them. We'll keep an eye on Chase Briscoe in that 98.
One thing that makes this track so difficult, when you go to Martinsville, you get on the brakes full force with your leg on each end of the racetrack. Brakes are designed to run very hot. That makes them efficient. Here, Rick, you have so little grip, you don't stand on the brakes. You kind of just trail brake, just press on them a little bit. What happens is they don't get hot enough to clean themselves up. They get all sticky with pads, and they just pulse, and they shake. And it can be so difficult. That was the question. Did you turn the fans on to cool them more? Well, the shake got worse. Well, then shut the fans off. But it's very dangerous as a crew chief. You say, well, add some tape. As soon as you do that, you get in traffic. Next thing you know, you're either overheating the brakes or melting a tire.
Bell still up front. Burton holding on to the second spot. He's got a 0.3 of a second lead over Cindric. So the 18-22, still a very tight battle for that second position. And searching around the racetrack already. We saw Harrison move up the racetrack. He was running the higher line. Now he's back down toward the bottom of the racetrack. Getting into this lap traffic. Now you have to pick and choose your line, trying to figure out how to get by the car in front of you.
This is where it can be very difficult right here. Just inside that lap car, you want to just get on the throttle and go on past. But if you get in too big of a hurry with those rear tires, Dave, you're going to spin them. And every time you spin the tires, you take a little bit more life out of them.
Yep, he has to be very conscious of that. Meanwhile, leader Christopher Bell there on the left. When Rick talked about those numbers on short tracks, that made my ears perk up, because today, earlier, his crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, told me he didn't want to mess up a car that maybe wasn't the best here, but didn't want to make it bad. They weren't, in Ratcliffe's opinion, it wasn't the best car on the racetrack, but certainly the tiny adjustments they made did very well for Christopher Bell. And he says he wants it even to be a little bit freer. Imagine that. More speed out of the 20 might be there. He's at that battle for second. Heating up now. Here comes Cindric.
Cindric to the inside, and it looks like Harrison Burton moves up out of the way, and he'll drop back into the third position.
You got to remember, when we're discussing who was good and who wasn't good in practice, that was 11 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
On a track that had not seen any cars on it yet. A thick notebook. Consistent good runs help you fill that notebook with the adjustments you need to make for a night race. It seems like Christopher Bell and Jason Ratcliffe have a good notebook, and they leaned on it once again.
And Steve, Jeff, both of you know this. They didn't run this long. I mean, they didn't do this long of a run in practice. Right now, they've gone 43 laps. So this would have been the longest run. So now they're starting to experience things that they have no idea what their cars are going to end up doing.
That's right. And another thing that's happening is they can't always run exactly where they want to. So you see this 18 car of Harrison as he tries to get by the 78, J.J. Yaley, he can't just run his car wherever he wants to. So you're asking more of your car in traffic. Your car does not run as well in traffic. You said it earlier. I know it's a short track, but aero matters. You get behind somebody, take some downforce off your car, and you've worn the tires off of it. So this is when you start to find out who has the best cars. If you get that long run, and how you need to make your car better. See this Cindric, he's gotten by the 22. He's gotten by the 18. So why? Why is the 18 not as good as it was earlier? That's the information that these drivers have to be given to their crew chief, so the crew chiefs can be making the cars better.
On the right-hand side of that battle for fifth, it has been hot and heavy every lap. The 98 of Briscoe, that 00, kind of that tan car of Custer. The 1 right there, that's Michael Annette. Behind him, just about a second back, Haley in the 11, Reddick in the 2. They're all lined up right there. One slip, one poor decision with the lap car, and you're going to lose at least one spot.
And Steve, when you're racing like this, you always want to be at your best. And this week, Cole Custer has not been. He has not been feeling well at all since he returned from Las Vegas. So I talked to him this afternoon. How are you feeling now? He goes, I'm sick. well, did you sleep last night? Yeah, I slept well. Okay, we got that going for us. So Cole not feeling his best, but Burton, I know sometimes when you get behind the wheel of a race car, that cures some of that, doesn't it?
It's the best thing for you. I mean, you feel bad all during the day, but once you climb in that race car, now you can focus. Instead of focusing on feeling bad, now you get to focus on your car and all the things we just talked about. Like right there, you think you're thinking about feeling bad in the middle of all that? You're just driving a race car, not worrying about anything else.
And again, it's Stewart-Haas Racing. Drivers running nose to tail, the 98 and the 00. But here comes Michael Annett in that Junior Motorsports #1.
I've been really excited to see how this one car runs in the playoffs. They kick off the season with a win at Daytona. A huge win for Michael Annett and this one team. And then just an okay summer. They're in the playoffs, experimenting with some setups. Travis Mack on top of the pit box said, hey, we know we have to get better. We can't be afraid to try different things. But now it's time. No more experimenting. They know they have to show up. But running with Cole Custer, running with the 98, running with the 11, that's what Annett's going to have to do.
Vinnie Miller in the 5 brought out the second caution of the day. And take a look at what just happened. Heard on the radio, said maybe a transmission. Already up into the wall, and you see the smoke rolling out on that right side.
Yes, and it just shut off. Then something broke. Unfortunate for Vinny and his team.
It is the second caution. That means another restart here at Richmond. And when we come back, we'll see if any takers on pit road. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Perfect for race fans. The all-new Ford Explorer, built Ford proud. And by Go Bowling. Go to gobowling.com to find a center near you. And under the lights, short track racing from Richmond Raceway. Let's check in with Rutledge Wood. Where are you, Rut?
Rick, I'm down here in the infield, and I was lucky enough to meet a driver I had not met before, Joe Kraft Jr. He's in the 21 car tonight. He is a NYU student from New Jersey, lives in North Carolina, but this is his first time racing here. He raced the entire 2018 ARCA series, but he started 16th, made his highest 14th. He's in 17th right now, but a really nice guy, excited to be here, was super pumped. We saw him earlier about his qualifying, so somebody to watch tonight if you're looking for a new driver. Joe Kraft Jr. could be that person.
Joe Kraft Jr. and all of these drivers have their hands full. This will be the most difficult restart of the night. Super old tires. Let's see who can make it work.
Good launch for the 20. C. Bell has that inside line, and he has easily taken the lead. 3 wide for third. And sideways was the 18 of Harrison Burton. Gets it pointed the right direction now as Noah Gragson has been able to get by in the 9. Here comes Chase Briscoe in the 98. He's going to make the move as well. Cole Custer in the 00 on the outside.
That's what I was talking about. These old tires drive to the bottom of the racetrack. You don't have the grip that you expected to have. You're actually better off in the outside lane on these starts with old tires.
Zane Smith in the 8s, working his way up. Also, we see the 23, John Hunter Nemechek. Just in front of him, the 7 of Justin Allgaier. Now, Cole Custer in the 00, trying to close that gap between the 00 and the 9 of Gragson. 3 wide again, and around goes the 74. Tyler Matthews brings out the 3rd caution.
Rick, I really think this opens the opportunity. I'm surprised no one did it the last yellow, but I really think when you look at John Hunter Nemechek, Brandon Jones, some of the playoff guys outside the top 10, come get your tires early. Try to make a run to the front as we take a look what happened to the 74. Oh, just loose into the corner. And this is going to be a heavy impact. You see how much it shortens up the rear of that 74 car.
Yeah, it looked like the left rear may have been low. You can see the left rear kind of hanging out of the left rear quarter panel. Get another shot of that. I'm pretty sure the tire actually, you see on the left side, you see the tire. Pretty sure that was slow.
Tyler, just a 22-year-old from Richlands, North Carolina. This was his 6th start this season. He was running in the 20th position,
which would have been the free pass position. mentioned about the strategy, Rick. 15 laps to go in this stage. Crew chiefs are going to start having to digest this race different. It's very difficult, very limited on tires. So it is not a good decision for the overall look of the race. It's going to hurt you in the long run. But at some point, how are you going to advance out of this round of the playoffs against Christopher Bell? Against Cindric running second, Gregson third, Custer fourth, Briscoe sixth. They're up there. They're going to score points. So I really think the back half of the playoff field needs to come get tires now. It may hurt you in the long run, but if you can race back up, and Jeff, as old as these tires are, I think they could get up inside the top 5 and put points in their bucket right away. We'll see what everyone chooses to do here as pit road is now open. Like I said, there was no takers last time. I was shocked. Honestly, a little disappointed. Oh, Travis Mack.
Mike Lynette,
yep. Crew chief for Michael Lynette calls his car to pit road. The 19 of Jones as well. I love this call, except the one misses his pit stall.
No. Well, clear. That'll hurt him a little bit. The 2 cars pitted behind him will get by him. Parker.
Got to back up.
Oh, man, guys, this is going bad to worse here for the 1 car right now. Finally gets it in his stall. He just needs more lateral grip inside that car. It's going to be Ford Goodyear tires like we talked about, Steve, and Sunoco fuel, but an odd stop. Also, the 19 of Brandon Jones doing Ford Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. He's been a 4-wheel slide skatey with that car is the way he's described it. They're also having trouble with the jack there. Just 2 stops that are going completely wrong for the 1 and the 19, trying to use this tire strategy to their advantage.
The 19 sitting on the jack is going to lose a lap if they don't get this thing off the jack here relatively soon.
The jack won't fall. It won't go down.
Brandon, drive it off the jack.
Oh.
Watch it. No, easy. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
I like the just drive it off the jack.
Couldn't get the jack to go down, so drive the car off the jack.
All right, so this time around will be 12 to go. If they give them 1 to go, which they don't. So they're going to restart around 10 to go. I want to see where these 3 line up. I'm going to take some over-under of how many cars they're going to pass there, Jeff.
They're still pulling the 74 of Tyler Matthews off the track in 1 and 2. Here's Michael Lynette.
First pit stall. You got to remind him, Michael Lynette doesn't remember. Travis Mack doesn't communicate. Combination of both. And then the crew actually here, very wise. So he pulls in, and the front tire changer says, whoa. If we take a tire off, we're going to have a penalty. We can end our night on a stop that shouldn't even really matter.
And with only 2 other cars on pit road.
Right.
You're going to lose those spots. Just 2 spots, so don't make it worse.
And Steve, just to clarify, the front of the car can't go over that line, but we saw the right rear and it was hanging out. That's okay.
That's correct. So basically, NASCAR owns the front line. The team owns the right rear tire. So the right front has to be in that sideline, but the right rear can be out.
All right, let's go down to the Mobile One Peacock pit box and Junior.
Yeah, guys, you were talking earlier in the race about glowing brakes, and some guys having some brake issues, some vibrations because the brakes weren't hot enough or clean enough. One of the things that I like to do here at this particular racetrack, we have a common occurrence of being loose in at Richmond in these race cars. Using those brake levers inside the car, putting more front brake in the car, can make it more comfortable. But you see that glowing rotor right there. I need my crew chief to tell me just how hot he thinks those front brakes are, how much more aggressive I can be with those brake levers. Some of those guys obviously have a little more heat than others. Some cars I'm watching out here have no glow whatsoever on the left front. So, Steve, as a crew chief, you're going to be able to help me from the box, being this close to the action, helping me be able to use those tools as aggressively as possible inside the car.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The driver can only tell how hot the brakes are by the feel of the pedal and if he has any brake fade or not. The spotter and the crew chief can both see the color of the rotors. And, you know, orange is one thing, but you can physically see when they get to a temperature where you just know that they're hotter than they need to be. And then you have to let your driver know. You have to help them manage it.
Something else the drivers can do, Junior was talking about being able to just put front brake to the car. The other thing drivers can do is they can shut the left rear brake caliper off. They actually just make it where there's less pressure going to that, and that helps the car from being free on entry. But what that does is it takes braking force away from the car. You can get enough left rear taken out of it where the car won't slow down enough. But that's something you can do to just help you get in the corner. In this place, get into turn 1 and turn 3 here, you can just be so loose on corner entry.
Dave.
During the playoffs, drivers always want to be aware of their situation. Here's the 22 team radio during the last caution.
Yeah, so obviously right here we got enough speed. We can check that first box we've talked about, getting points. As far as the end of the race, you know, if we get a couple good stage finishes here, I feel like we can definitely adjust on it for you.
So they want him to basically stay where he is right now, live with what you have, which they've told him is about second best to the 20, and we'll collect a lot of points here and see how the rest of the night plays out. But he's got to get through this restart, too.
Well, that's a great talk about the guys at the front of the field. Well, how about the guys that were on pit road, Annette and Brandon Jones? They have two decisions now. Coming to 8 laps to go, do you run hard and go to the front, or do you literally not run at all? Save as much tire as possible, knowing you're going to stay out in 8 laps and take over the race lead. That because you don't want to be wrong. You don't want to go hard and not get any points. So big decision for these back 2 race cars.
I'd go hard for the first 2 or 3 laps. See if you think you can make it there. If you can't, then back it back up.
Again, old tires up front. Watch, see how everyone handles it. Clean start, they fan out 3 wide once again.
See that red roofed car around the bottom of the racetrack making some moves. Justin Allgaier 3 wide, beating and bagging.
Middle here, hold your line, still middle, inside, middle.
A little bit of contact there, maybe some right side damage to the 18 of Harrison Burton. 3 wide still.
This all started on the restart. Harrison did not get a good restart, does not have a lot of experience with this engine package, and that's got him slammed up in the middle of 3 wide, the last thing you want to be.
And he's going to be 3 wide again. Allgaier on the outside, John Hunter Nemechek on the inside, more contact made. This time it's in the back of the 7. Justin Allgaier might have some damage too.
There's that one with new tires. He's driven up to 9th. I think you got to push him right now, don't you, Steve?
Oh, you got to go. You got to be in the driver's ear, counting down laps. You have the best tires. Go, go, go. Move them out of the way if you have to. This is kind of your race. We know we've hurt ourselves in the long run. Go get some points.
Trying to get the points now. You see on the left side, here's that contact made between the 18 and 7.
It's not enough room for 3 wide in turn 3 at Richmond. Lucky that's all the contact they had down there.
Ryan Sieg in the 39 had to check up as well. And look at this. 3 wide again. Michael Annette on the inside.
Michael Annette is trying to be patient and not rough up the 2 on the outside of him, but he cannot go by when he's pinched on the bottom like that. Now he's got a little room. He's got to drive deep into the corner, try to clear this 23, roll the bottom, and get inside the 98. There you go. There's 2 more spots in 1 corner.
Michael Annette trying to get 6th now.
And behind him, that white car on the outside, that 19 car, Brandon Jones, he also pitted. He is now in the 10th spot.
Yeah, he was a little slow. I don't know if he just got bottled up on the restart, but still 3 laps to go. I think he could get these next 3 cars. I'm not sure Michael Annette's done either. I think now that they're spread out, he's going to attack Haley in the 11 and Cole Custer in the 00. Look at the acceleration difference. Michael Annette looks like he has more motor than everyone in the field.
You may as well get all you can get right now. They're going to eat you up on this next restart. Just go get you some. Get as many points as you can.
I like this call by Travis Mack. How does Michael Annette get out of the first round? By doing something different, by being aggressive, by forcing other people to take the points back away.
Already able to get by Cole Custer. So now Annette all the way up into the 4th position. It's Seabell, Cindric, Gregson, and Annette.
And Annette's not done. He sees his teammate Noah Gregson in the 9. He's only got to have 1 lap to do it as the 11 and the 00 figure it out. Here's Annette. The 9 goes low, a defensive line to kind of block, but the 1 should be able to accelerate off the corner easily inside his teammate.
Got right up to the back bumper of Gregson.
You can't race him like a teammate, Rick. You got to go in there and get the points.
He tries to the inside. It will be a stage win for Christopher Bell, and then the fight for 2nd. Cindric hangs on. Gregson and Annette. Cole Custer rounding out the top 5.
So at the end of the day, when we see where Michael Annette finishes, that was 7 guaranteed points that he already has scored. He has them. They can't take them away. That's 7 positions at the end of this race. He was running 9th before he pitted. He could easily fall outside the top 10, get 0. Instead, he's plus.
Hey, Brandon, don't forget about Brandon Jones.
Yes.
He was running outside the top 10. He finished 8th. So there's some points for him.
And a good stage for John Hunter Nemechek. Remember, he started all the way at the back of the field. He made it up to 7th. Allgaier also gets a point, finished in the top 10, but it was Seabell getting stage 1 win. From Richmond Raceway. Beautiful sight under the lights, short track racing, and about ready to come to pit road. Let's go to Parker.
Noah Gragson in third place. Used some great outside line restarts to get in that position. Talked to his team about it, how comfortable he was up there. Just a little free on the entry corners and free on the exits. Be 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for Noah Gragson, Dave.
Jason Ratcliffe told his driver, Christopher Bell, right there in the middle, I'm going to work on the center turn for you to help your rear lateral grip in the long run. That's a lot to say. We're going to make that 20 car better. 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. As for the 22 of Austin Cindric, a little too free on entry as the car fires off. They'll make an adjustment for that and see if they hold position here on pit road. 19 cars already through, guys.
And it looks like the race off pit road. It's Austin Cindric. That Penske team doing a great job. Brandon Jones also making up big positions.
Rick, I was lucky enough earlier to get to go do a little bowling with Cole Custer, and I got a chance to ride around in the bowling pin car the Go Bowling brought. We cruised around the campgrounds. We found some fans that decorated the best for this weekend, and those campgrounds are so much fun. And that couple right here, they showed us how they roll. They're actually here on Cole's pit box right now. Got to just see a great pit stop. That team knocked it out. He came in 5th. He went out 5th. Look at them having a great time up there. But a lot of fun down here. Love getting to ride in the car. Maybe next time, Rick, they'll let me drive it. Fingers crossed.
Hey, Rod, that thing's pretty long wheelbase. It looks more like a drag car than an oval setup.
Yeah, that's for sure. I agree with you totally.
Pretty cool. See that thing riding around the campground.
Yeah.
All right, little differing strategies. Jeff and I, I'm not sure we agree on this. The 19 of Brandon Jones stays out on those 9-lap old tires, where the opposite side is the one of Michael Annett came and got a set of tires. So we're going to see how that plays out. Who does what with their tire management through the rest of the night.
Stage 2 underway.
That was a great start by Brandon Jones on those little bit older tires.
How long will he hold up, though, as Austin Cindric all over the back bumper, and he'll try to take away the top spot as they exit 2.
I said he stayed out. I believe he came and got fuel, but he just didn't change tires. Good idea, because you have to be able to run. You want to match the fuel and everybody else, make some adjustments.
Now he drops back to 3rd as Christopher Bell able to get by him as well. Next will be that 00 of Cole Custer. Here comes Justin Allgaier in the 7.
Interested to see how good the 7 is when he starts from track position. He had to use so much car starting at the back to get into the top 10, Jeff. That has to wear out your tires and your brakes.
See Christopher Bell doing the same thing he did early in the race. Jumped on the outside of Austin Cindric. Battle for the lead, getting into turn 3.
Talked about just how good Christopher Bell is on short tracks. And once again, he's showing why. Able to pass Austin Cindric on the outside and takes the lead back.
Well, look at Custer roll on the outside of the 22. Oh, that's how you do it right there. Got on the outside and took away that exit speed.
Really said Cole Custer wasn't feeling very well, but I liked his car in practice today. I thought he had one of the best cars. There were times I thought he was better than Christopher Bell. Everybody talking about Christopher Bell having the best car, but I didn't see it that clearly. I thought Custer was every bit as good.
Clean air is so good, Rick, it even helps the sickness. Not just downforce, it helps the sickness too.
Here comes Justin Allgaier. We saw him peek to the inside of the 22. Austin Cindric. We'll see if he tries again, and he will. So Bell is up front. He has a half a second lead already after the start of stage 2. Then it's Cole Custer, Austin Cindric, Justin Allgaier. Here we see Ryan Sieg moving up through the ranks, trying to get by John Hunter Nemechek. Now he'll try to get by Harrison Burton.
Rick, as we watch that battle, a little follow-up on Cole Custer. To Jeff's point, he didn't like his car on the long run, Jeff. He said short run it was great, long run no. So they must have adjusted something, because a short run qualifying, he qualified 10th. He told me the car was just way too tight. So they kind of been battling the 00 all day long, and in tonight they finally found the handle.
Well, Jeff, you know what's in every long run?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, short run. You got to have a car that fires off. If you don't, you just lose too many spots. And that 00 right now, to Dave's point, whatever adjustments they made, seems to be decent on the short run. We'll see if it can continue on as it gets longer into this set of tires.
See Harrison and Ryan battling. Harrison's trying, I think, a little bit too early to run that high. I think he'd be way better served to lay the door on Ryan Sieg.
And just behind them, Zane Smith in the 8. Zane, a 20-year-old out of Huntington Beach, California. Another one of the drivers for Junior Motorsports.
Jones in that 19 holding strong with those older tires, giving Briscoe in that 98 a fit. Briscoe just cannot seem to clear him. Waiting patiently behind is Annette, trying to figure out which lane he wants to go in.
And they stay side by side. Briscoe right along the yellow line. Here comes Annette in the 1.
Jeff, you think that second lane is easier on the 19's tires overall? I think it's just easier on that left rear, not having to drive off the bottom.
I do. I think if he can run that outside lane a little bit, big arc getting into the corner right there. That look good. Key is being able to see right there. He lost the bottom. Came off that yellow line a little bit too quick. I think that's a little bit hard on the tires too. I think if he can wrap that line a little bit, see right there, just off the yellow line a little bit, I think that would help.
Hey, Jeff, we're seeing a cool situation here between the 19 and the 1, the different pit strategy. So as the 1 dives inside of the 19 of Brandon Jones and Michael Nett in the 1, he's using newer tires. That team, they both put tires on the end of that last stage and were able to move up the field. But the 19 came down pit road and just did adjustments and fuel. The 1, they took those tires off. They put them out here in pit road. They're cooling them down. Therefore, they're on new tires. The 19's falling back in old tires. So we're seeing those two strategies cross over right here with 58 to go in stage 2, Dylan.
And Parker, you see Ryan Sieg there in the 39 car. He's kind of the underdog story of this playoffs, but their mentality coming into tonight is interesting. They feel like the pressure is on everybody else. They sit 11th in points right now, but they'd rather be where they're at in 11th than the guys who are 8th, 9th, and 10th, which is the guys in front of them and the guys that they're currently beating on the track. John Hunter Nemechek, Justin Haley, those guys. So they're in a good spot right now, just doing their thing like they've done all year long, and it's got them in a good spot right now.
So just to completely clear up the tire rule here in Xfinity, it's a limited sets of tires for the race, 3 sets for this race in your pits. That doesn't mean you can't take them off and put them back on. So that set that Parker Clipman reported on for the 1 of Annette, they have about 8 laps on them from the finish. So they've taken them off, let them cool down, glue lug nuts back on them, they can put them back on. Now they're not going to be as good as new tires, but don't think just because they were on the car once you have to throw them away.
Right now, the top 8 positions, top 9 positions with Ryan Sieg all held by playoff drivers. Just behind him is Harrison Burton in 10th, Zane Smith 11th, John Hunter Nemechek and Haley just traded spots. Haley now into 12th. John Hunter Nemechek is 13th. And Tyler Reddick currently running in the 17th position, the furthest back of the playoff drivers.
Something about Richmond, short track action, tire wear, brakes heat up, patience get tested, but a long run racetrack is kind of how it's known. 75 lap stage, it wouldn't shock me if it went 75 lap green. And I think that's what these drivers have to prepare for as we see Harrison Burton get to the outside of the 19. Opposite plans by drivers on the left-hand side, the 22 of Cindric purposely driving the second lane, the 7 of Allgaier running the bottom.
And Justin Allgaier making a great recovery from starting from the rear, up 28 positions and now trying to close the gap to Austin Cindric. They have been so strong on short tracks this season. Allgaier with just 1 finish outside of the top 10. He's led 355 laps on short tracks this season. That's second only to Christopher Bell. And while he knew the challenge would be great tonight starting from the rear, he also told me that he felt like they potentially had the best car today in practice. So a lot of confidence from the 17. I said, when's the last time you felt like you had the best car in practice? He said, well, it has been a while. It doesn't happen that often. So they felt good about their chances tonight.
Jason Burdett on the right-hand side of your screen, the crew chief for Allgaier. Jeff, I like what Allgaier's doing. He's got a little bit of a gap. He's got, about 2.5, 3 seconds back to Noah Gragson in 5th. So because of that, he's searching a little bit up the racetrack. It didn't work the first lap, but sometimes it takes a few laps to kind of get that rhythm.
Yeah, don't quit. Don't give up on it. You're getting information from your spotter that other people are running the top, and it's working pretty well. So keep trying it. Keep going there. If after 3 laps, 2 laps with nobody behind you, it doesn't work, then go back to the bottom. But right now, no loss. If you go up there and try it, doesn't work, nobody's putting pressure on you.
Almost 3 seconds separating Allgaier and Gragson right now. Well, the official app of NASCAR, that puts race coverage and in-car cameras right at your fingertips. You can unlock the premium content today with a free trial. Search NASCAR in your app store, or you can visit NASCAR.com/mobile.
Tonight for Xfinity action in Stage 2. I was wondering if anybody was going to be able to pick that 20 car tonight. Look no further than the 00 of Cole Custer, slowly inching in on the leader. Just every so often they match laps, but then Cole will have a little bit quicker lap. But who can get through the lap traffic better? That's really what this is going to come down to. Another guy who's running some really, really great laps in this Stage 2, I mentioned it earlier in the night, Ryan Sieg. He's actually got another opportunity tonight at another top 5 because he's running top 5 speeds lap after lap after lap, closing in on this battle in front of him.
Yeah, Ryan Sieg has been really fast. We're watching him run these guys down.
And look at this. As they try to go by the lap traffic, Ryan Sieg gets the nose inside the 9.
Shane Wilson and that group. Shane Wilson has a lot of wins as a crew chief, doing a great job with his team, still battling side by side. Noah's not going to give it to him. It's not hurting Noah's car to run up there. He's not, you know, sometimes you're not really holding that guy up. You're just running your line, running the second lane, and hey, man, you go out and pass me.
So while these two are continuing to fight, and it looks like Ryan Sieg is going to be able to win the battle there. Kelly, I want to know what's going on with Tyler Reddick.
Well, it's been an uphill battle for the regular season champion, Tyler Reddick, who's had a number of issues, some brake shake and ill-handling car, and then just before the end of Stage 1, they noticed something wasn't quite right. It turns out that they had a slow leak in the right rear tire, so Tyler really had to just kind of nurse that car around for the last handful of laps and get it to the stage break where they made some good adjustments, hopefully, to that 2 car. We'll see if he can start working his way back forward.
He's running in the 16th position. He's been back there, hasn't done a lot of moving to the front. He's got Jeremy Clements in front of him and right beside him as he tries to get by him.
One issue when you have a tire going down is if you don't know it until the pit stop, you make adjustments on how the car is handling. We're only going to see perhaps 3 pit stops out of these Xfinity teams tonight. So if you misadjust the first pit stop, now you've wasted the second run on the wrong adjustment. You're kind of guessing for adjustments for that final pit stop.
Yeah, you haven't learned a thing. The only thing you know is what your car was doing during the low tire, and what it's doing after. You learned nothing about what change you just made.
Ryan Sieg was able to get by the 9 of Gregson, but Gregson passed him back for that 7th spot. Now we see Michael Annett
doing a masterful job working traffic. We saw him use those new tires. Travis Mack then gambles. It's a gamble. He put new tires back on the one. We'll see how that plays out. But he's using those new tires. If he can get by the 98, that'll be for the 6th position. That's still solidly in the position of scoring stage points. I like the aggression. The playoffs have started. Some guys clam up when it comes to playoff time. It looks to me like the one, Michael Annett, Travis Mack, this team says, you know what? We can't do anything. We can't clam up. We got to be the opposite. We got to kind of freewheel, try to make something happen.
Steve, that is exactly right. And talking to Michael Annett just a little bit ago before this race, he was telling me, we look at his opportunity. We see the points reset and think, here's an opportunity for us to really excel. That's how we view this opportunity in the playoffs. And he also told me he loves the long run here. He said, you know, a lot of guys are good on low air pressures. They go really aggressive, really hard at the beginning. But I always start to pick up spots late in the run because I take care of my tires. We're starting to see that from Michael Annett.
Michael Annett should be commended. His refocus on his racing career has really shown up this year.
Yes.
Got that win at Daytona, but it's way more than just the win. He is a class of cars higher than he has run the last few years. You talk to him in the garage, he's just a different driver. Looks you in the eye. He has a conversation. It seems he has more confidence. Sometimes that pairing, whatever Travis Mack and him are focusing on, it seems to be working for the 1 car.
Battle for 5th continuing. Chase Briscoe has the spot. Michael Annett has been trying to take it away, couldn't get to it. Battle for 3rd over on the left side of the screen. Austin Cindric has that position, and Justin Allgaier continuing to work his way up toward the front.
We continue to see this 98 car, Chase Briscoe, get better and better as this year goes on. Chase Briscoe early in the year didn't have anything for his teammate Cole Custer. We couldn't run with him at all, but as this year has gone on, this pairing, crew chief driver pairing, has gotten better and better. And they're bringing their best to the playoffs. I mean, we keep talking about who can be that fourth guy going to Miami with the big three, let's call it. I wouldn't count Chase Briscoe and his team out.
Michael Annett needs to make something happen here. He's better than the 98 of Briscoe, but Briscoe's doing a nice job of holding him off. But as that happens, look behind the 1. Joining the party, the 9 of Gregson, the 39 of Sieg. If Annett doesn't get by the 98, he is going to lose a few spots from these cars that are coming. So, you know, there's these moments in the race where you see 3 and 4 points kind of swap, and this could be one of those moments for the 1 car.
And the other thing is we get a little bit wider shot here. In front of the 98, a gap. And that normally means he is holding people up, and they will get impatient. And that's probably what's going to happen here soon with, as you mentioned, either the 1 of Annett or Gregson or Sieg.
Yeah, 28 laps to go in this stage. I mean, you can't go in there and hit a guy, but you just got to keep working, Jeff, right? You got to, like, find position. And maybe when you get position, you don't hit him, but you're a little more aggressive on taking away the line.
Well, it's hard to do because, you know, at 98, he's up there in that second lane, and every time you try to get a run underneath him, your car doesn't grip. You have to turn the wheel more in your car. You have to slow it down more running that bottom lane. It's just a very difficult pass.
Kelly.
Meanwhile, Harrison Burton in that 18 car still running inside the top 10. And we'll be seeing a bit more of Harrison here to close out the season. This is the first of 5 races kind of at the end of the season for Harrison. He said he's really looking forward to getting that valuable seat time here in the Xfinity Series. One of the biggest challenges he said for him this year has been hopping around from different cars between late models to the trucks to the Xfinity Series. And actually tomorrow he'll be back in a late model racing at VIR. Sorry, not a late model, a Trans Am car preparing for his start on the Roval next week.
And Kelly, that car right behind him, the 8 car, that's Zane Smith, one of 9 drivers in that 8 car this year. Think about the challenge that faces crew chief Taylor Moyer this season, adapting to all those different drivers. They all have different levels of panic in their voice, Taylor said, when kind of describing the race car and the handling of the race car. So Zane is one of the drivers that's a little less animated, a little more laid back. Sometimes it takes a little bit for them to get the race car dialed in. That's what they're working on right now as you see a battle for position here.
Yeah, that's for the 3rd spot. Cindric has it, and Allgaier now getting a little more aggressive. Just under 24 to go from Richmond. Just 17 laps to go in the 2nd stage of the Xfinity Series Go Bowling 250 from Richmond Raceway. Now Monday, it's time to stand up to the powerful and fight back. Jimmy Smits and introducing Caitlin McGee in Bluff City Law. That premieres Monday on NBC. Christopher Bell now has a 3.3-second lead. It was close between Cole Custer and Christopher Bell, and then C. Bell just turned it on and has been able to pull away from Cole Custer. That 3-second gap between 1 and 2. Then it's Justin Allgaier, who's 7 seconds behind Bell. Cindric and Annett, the top 5.
And Rick, a couple of things very typical about this run for Christopher Bell. Typical Joe Gibbs Racing. How many times have we seen Kyle Busch or Denny Hamlin leg one out here at Richmond? The company just seems to know what to do. The other thing typical is his reporting back, migrating to the tighter side. The center is the problem, the biggest problem for the 20, and the handling on that car just continues to go that way. But guess what? It's not as bad as everybody else's. In fact, it's still 3 seconds better over Custer.
In NASCAR nonstop, you saw the 38 of C.J. McLaughlin, and the smoke rolling out right in front
Still there.
of Cole Custer.
Clear, watch this smoke.
That'll get your attention.
That's a great job by CJ. Not to wreck that race car.
There's Gregson and the gap between Gregson and Briscoe.
Good run for Noah tonight. Noah's that driver that all year long has been clawing out finishes but not getting many stage points. Done a really good job of taking what was a 9th, 10th, 11th place car and finishing 3rd or 4th with it, but it's hurt him in stage points. But tonight, sitting there all night long, run really well, been very consistent. Good run for that team.
And Steve, if you look at Michael Annett and the decisions that they've made, currently running in the 5th position, smart what they did.
5th, and I think going to get 4th. Closing in on Austin Cindric for the 4th position. That will be huge. If he can have a couple of 4th, that's 14 points in the stages alone. That's 14 positions at the end of this race. He's going to gain right there in points. Michael Annett's path to the next round. Jeff, you and I have talked about it. How do you get out? The one's path is with points. You could score points 3 times during a race. If it continues this way, he's going to score them not only the first, but also the second stage.
And he does make the pass on Cindric, or at least close to completing that pass on Cindric. Just behind them is the 98 of Chase Briscoe. Kelly, is there something wrong with that car?
Well, Rick, a handful of laps ago, we saw the pit crew for the 98 of Chase Briscoe really spring into action. And then we listened on the radio. Here's why.
Kyle, get your helmet on and go over there and see what's going on. Had a lot of smoke from the right rear. Could have been a caliper. Yes,
So they thought initially that he might have a flat tire. They have since eased up here, and he continues to run in the 7th position. And one other note, Justin Allgaier, who was running 3rd at that same time, said, I hit something big. He asked the crew to check the nose of that car, worried about damage, but we haven't spotted anything just yet.
A little difficult to see with so much black between the grill area, but you think you would see a hole or something in the nose that would jump out. I'm not saying it's perfect, but there's a great shot right there.
Yeah, when you drive a race car, you can hit something, but you don't know where you hit it.
Right.
It can be a big ball of rubber that rolls underneath the car. It makes a tremendous amount of noise. You have no idea if it's damaged or not.
Christopher Bell looking to sweep the stages. Under 8 laps to go now in stage 2. Cole Custer running second, 3.3 seconds back. Allgaier, as we look at Bell, Allgaier running 3rd. There's Allgaier back in the 3rd position. Behind him, Mike Lynette. Austin Cindric has fallen back to 5th, and it's Noah Gregson. Here we see Zane Smith putting a little bit of pressure now on John Hunter Nemechek.
Well, and this is the pressure of the playoffs. Playoff cars, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Top 8 cars all vying for a spot in the next round.
And listen, you talked about the move that Michael Lynette and that team made. Brandon Jones and his team did the same thing, right? They came in, put tires, finished 8th in that first stage. They did not pit that time and put tires on again, and they have fallen back to 16th.
So what that means, though, is we're getting ready to have a yellow in 6 more laps. The 19 car is going to put on brand new tires. If I'm Travis Mack, I put those 8-lap tires back on, hoping we run about 50 laps, 40 laps, get a yellow, and I can get my last set of stickers on. It's really all how the yellows are going to fall in that race. We saw the same thing in Iowa. Listen, don't turn away. Christopher Bell dominated Iowa. They put the tires on, which turns out at the wrong time. Easy to say, weeks after the race. The 98 of Briscoe saves a set of tires. In the end, that pit decision gave him a chance to attack Christopher Bell. Ends up winning that race.
The other thing, Steve, we're up here watching lap times, and it's crazy how close lap times are. We can look at the 10th place car, ran a 98. The 2nd place car ran a 72. 72 versus a 79, not a 98. I mean, they're running really close to the same speed. So this pit stop that's coming up at the end of this stage is going to be huge to get your track position.
You mentioned Christopher Bell. I think the 00 maybe did make a little bit of a gain on the 20, but I also think the 20 drove the first 50 laps out his rearview mirror. He learned on those final restarts, I better save a little tire, right? Why do I need a 6 second? He got to a 6-second lead in the last stage. What good did it do him? In the end, you still have to hold off these guys on a restart.
And look at these lap times. Yeah. John Hunter Nemechek back in 10th, second fastest lap time. Look at this.
Yeah, this is impressive here. If Christopher Bell is going to be able to get by the 19, he only has 2 laps to go.
And he wants to do it. He wants to lap that playoff car. Even being a teammate, I would be coaching him up to lap him. You can't take care of your teammates when it comes to the playoffs. You got to eliminate them any chance you can get.
You can't say it on the radio, though, man. That makes Monday meeting hard.
I know. My teammates didn't like me much. I would say it.
Pretty dominant performance already by Christopher Bell on this, the final lap of stage 2. 149 laps complete. He's led 137 of them.
Must be why I went to lunch alone a lot.
Yes, that could be it. So Christopher Bell will come out of turn 4, and he will easily win stage 2. That is the 6th time that Christopher Bell has swept the first 2 stages this year. And if you want to look at statistics, he's failed to win the last 3 times, including last week.
Well, thanks, Mr. Jenks. I'm going to sit over here and say nothing.
Cole Custer ended up 2nd in that stage. Allgaier was 3rd, Annette 4th, Austin Cindric in 5th, Gregson, Briscoe, Sieg all getting points. Harrison Burton holding on to a top 10 position. The only one in the top 10 not in the playoff contention. John Hunter Nemechek ends up in 10. But it was all Christopher Bell to end stage 2. And they go to the Charlotte Roval. That race coverage beginning at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. And pit stops about to get underway. Kelly.
Justin Allgaier in that red number 7. We talked earlier about him hitting something on track. Well, he and the team have decided it was an axle that he made contact with. Lucky not to have any damage they've seen on that number 7. As for the car itself, he's just been a little bit free in and off and tight through the center, Dave.
2 stage wins now for Christopher Bell, but the car was building tight over that run. He'll need 4 Goodyear tires with an air pressure adjustment, a fill of Sunoco fuel. As for Cole Custer, his car was overall building tight from the center off of the corner. He'll get 4 tires as well, race off pit road, and Bell will retain the lead.
As we watch the race off of pit road, Bell and Custer holding their positions. Austin Cindric making up a little ground. Allgaier loses a spot. Mike Lynette dropping 3 positions. We know there's a party going on in the infield, and we know that Rutledge Wood has to be there, right?
Rick, you know, I found an incredible view, and I can tell it's a good view because these 2 guys earlier got to look at what this track looks like from 4,000 feet above. David was flying the plane. Mike's one of the guys that jumped out from Team Fast Tracks. Let me show you our view right now. Thank you guys. Y'all did a great job. So we're about 12 feet away from the track surface. Right over here, I saw these guys hold it up. I said, what are y'all doing? Oh, they're just watching. They were part of the sponsorship team on David Starr's car, the 52 from County Line Collision Center. Lovely folks about 30 minutes away, but check it out. We are this close to the track, and fans can come down here and watch. This is insane. I mean, the only place that would be a better seat is probably yours, Dale. Where are you watching from, buddy?
I'm down here on the pit box where I've got a pretty awesome view, especially at turn 3 and 4 here, to be able to see these cars come through here and see what the drivers are doing, how the cars are handling. Let's look at the points earned tonight so far for these guys. Awesome night, obviously, for Christopher Bell, who's been out front all night. I didn't think he had much competition, but it looks like Cole Custer's getting a little bit closer. The rest of the field was 10 seconds or more back at the end of this stage. So Cole Custer, can those guys gain a little bit more speed in that car and contest with our leader who's dominated tonight? Cindric, too, he lost a lot of speed over that run. Wasn't quite as fast as he was at the start of the night. They did gain a couple spots there on that pit stop. Can they gain some more speed and get back in this fight? That'll be interesting to see.
See some other guys up there. Annette scored 14, Gregson 13. Why that's important is, you know, those points that you have, you've earned them. They will not go away. I mean, there's only 17 cars in the lead lap, so even if you have a problem on a late restart and kind of get pushed out of line but finish last car in the lead lap, 16, 17, you might lose 8 or 9 points, but you will always have those points earned in the stage.
Steve Justin Haley and that 11 team, they've been hit with a pit road penalty. Apparently too many men over the wall.
Yeah, and it's a tough time to do it. 93 laps to go. These guys can finish the stage on fuel. They would love to pit about halfway if they had a caution, put a fresh set of tires on, but without a pit stop, I would expect that these guys are going to run the final 90 laps or so under green.
So how about that one car, Michael Annette? What tires did he end up putting on there? Scuffs or stickers?
The report we had was stickers.
All right, so if he puts stickers on, that means when the caution comes, if the caution comes out at the end of the race, he's got to put those scuffs on that have, what, 9 laps on them?
Yeah.
That's the gamble of racing, right, Jeff?
Hey, man, he got a lot of points. Great call.
We'll see
how it works out.
Yeah, if it ends up being the right call.
Either way, he got a lot of points, and they can't take them away from him.
Christopher Bell, Cole Custer making up the front row, and the final stage underway. Justin Allgaier trying to make that outside line work. Trying to clear the 22 down the backstretch.
It was a really nice job of running the second line there on brand new tires, being patient through the middle, accelerating. He will clear the 22 for the 3rd position.
Bell, Custer, Allgaier, Cindric. And back behind them, Chase Briscoe, Gregson, Ryan Sieg, tip of your hat to Ryan Sieg right now running in the 7th position. And here comes Harrison Burton on the outside in that 18. Trying to work on the outside of the one of Michael Annett. Harrison Burton, the youngest driver in the field at just 18 years old. This just his 4th start in the Xfinity Series. We heard jumping around, running late models. He'll be running the Trans Am tomorrow, Trans Am Series. Also been running in the Truck Series. And Jeff, it's okay if you want to talk about your son. We have no problem.
I'm too nervous to talk. You know, this is a great battle back here. You see Michael Annett, you know he wants that spot back. They work hard to get those points. Knows he's got Cuff sitting in the pit, so that's not going to help him. Part of it happened. What if this thing goes green, Steve, this whole way? You know, if you were real aggressive on this restart, did you hurt your tires?
Right.
It's going to hurt you later in the run. That's what we've seen. It seems like Annett's good on long runs. Seems like the 18 of Harrison's not good on long runs.
And we'll see what kind of adjustments they've made after this last pit stop. Whatever they made to the 20, if any, it's working again, because already he has an 0.8 of a second lead.
He has that magical compromise of being good on short runs, long runs, medium runs, top lane, bottom lane.
Anywhere on the racetrack, in traffic, and on his own. Cole Custer running in that 2nd position. Allgaier is 3rd. It's a little hectic back here. There's Tyler Reddick riding along with him in that helmet cam. What a great view Sonic is giving us. You see just how close he gets to the 19 of Brandon Jones.
It's a great shot right here to show you why it's so difficult to pass at Richmond. See Brandon Jones doing a great job of painting that yellow line. So what's Reddick going to do? There's nowhere for him to go. So now Reddick's going to start thinking about, can I jump the outside of him? See Brandon Jones a little bit bigger arc getting into the corner. Right there, if Reddick could go to the gas a little bit, try to drive underneath Jones. It's a great racetrack, great view. Just Reddick's car just does not look very good. Gets in the corner pretty well. Look how early he turns. That tells me that he's either really loose getting in the corner, or if he doesn't get down there to the white line, the car is too tight rolling in the middle. And if he loses the white line, the yellow line rather, he never can get back to the bottom. This really early turn into the corner.
And he seems like he's having to wait on that 19 to get back into the gas. As Brandon Jones holding on to the 12th position. You want to take a look at the Toyota driver update for Brandon Jones, and that was the issue earlier when the pit on that pit stop, the jack wouldn't go down, and so finally they said just drive off of it. You got to drive off the jack.
Yeah, you just can't sit there and lose a lap. You're going to have to leave pit road. You see a little bit of maintenance done. Never good when the pit equipment fails.
So the next time, I hope they tell the jack man to get away from him.
Yeah,
they
kidding.
Do that scared me.
He's been able to hang on to this 12th spot even after that issue on pit road. Led 4 laps already today for Brandon Jones.
Got Greg Galding right here. Greg Galding's the first car a lap down, but here he is running right in the middle of Joe Gibbs' car, a Richard Childress Racing car. I mean, really good run for this thing. They've been fast all day.
Want to listen in to Tyler Reddick's radio, currently running in the 13th spot.
What's going on with your brakes? I don't know. I feel loose on entry, but just stupid tight at the center of the corner. So I put a little brake in it, and it fixes me getting loose on entry.
Yeah, so there you go. Loose on entry. So when you're loose on entry, it's really difficult here at Richmond. It's so hard. So right here, you want to just turn that wheel, drive it to the bottom of the racetrack, but you have to slow down. You just cannot trust the back of the car is not going to come around on you. It's so difficult. It's common here, though, Steve. It's not unusual, but it gets to the point where you almost can't tolerate it.
Just 79, now 78 laps remaining from Richmond Raceway. And the first race of the playoffs for the Xfinity Series. Coming up on Sunday Night Football. Aaron Donald, and the Rams are going to face Baker Mayfield and the Browns. That coverage beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on NBC. And guess what? To predict what will happen, download the NBC Sports Predictor app. You can play Sunday Night 7, $100,000 in guaranteed cash prizes each week, $2 million total this season. That's a lot of money. And a guy who's been in the money this race has been Christopher Bell. He's won the first 2 stages. But I'll tell you what, it looks as though Cole Custer in the 00 is starting to reel him back in.
One of the toughest things to do is to have a car that leads 168 laps is to adjust on it. How are you really? Are the guys behind you getting better? Well, the advantage for the 00 is they know they have to get better. Mike Shiplett sees how fast the 20 is. He's continued to adjust on this 00. I didn't believe it. I thought Bell was out there cruising, saving tires, but I don't believe he would let Cole Custer get quite this close. I think Custer's just a little better right now.
And Dave, you've been watching both C-Bell and Cole Custer.
I have, Rick, in that report I gave early in the race, Jason Ratcliffe's words to Steve's point, I don't want to mess up a good race car, so he didn't want to adjust on it too hard between practice and the race. Right now, his car has been mostly a little tighter than he wants to all night. They continue to free it up. Maybe it's not enough. As for the 00 behind him, that of Cole Custer, don't forget who won here in the spring. It was a 00 driver, and he's been obsessing about his brakes all night. Are mine as red as the 20s? No, yours are a little bit redder. Okay, I'm adjusting my car based on braking, so here I'm going to adjust my feedback to you. So he's been obsessing on him, and Steve, if he's saving some brakes, that can really help him later on.
Yeah, saving brakes, saving tires, save your hand. It's a little bit of poker. You don't have to show what kind of hand you have in the first or the second stage. Unlike Annette, who's all about stage points, these two right here, I think, feel they're pretty good on points. They want wins. Save a little. Cole Custer right here has done a nice job. 67 laps to go. He's close enough now that the 20 of Bell knows he's there. As they start to catch traffic, it's going to make the 20's job much more difficult knowing the 00 is there.
He's also close enough now to be able to gauge where he is to the 20, right? Like, where is the 20 a little better? Where am I a little better than him? That information's huge because now that's information you can be giving your team. Make those changes that you need to make. Before he was so far away from him, it was really hard for him to know why he was getting beaten.
And these two have been the class of the field all season long. They represent 12 wins already of the 26 races. 6 wins apiece for these two. And Cole Custer continues to close that gap. Now, can Cole Custer get by the 20 of C-Bell?
I almost feel like Bell's a little bit free on corner. Right there, you saw the back of the car rolling around.
You see all the traffic in front. One at a time is okay, but up in front of that, there's 2 wide cars on the backstretch. You know, you talk about get out of your preferred lane, especially if you're a little free.
Yes.
Right? You get kind of stuck in the bottom. You can't get the power down. If the 00 rolls the corner better, you see the left front sparking on the apron.
You know, how many times have we seen this year slower cars really impact the lead? We've seen a lot of lead changes with slower cars.
Yeah, now where does Christopher Bell run? He's got a car right in front of him, car on his outside. Taking that line away, that preferred line.
Think about Christopher Bell's race last week. Had the field covered, led all the laps, didn't get the win. So you know what's in the back of their head right now. We're dominating this race. We cannot lose this one again. Last week they didn't get outrun. They just got out-strategy. The strategy was a little better with the team that had nothing to lose.
That's it. I love this clear shield. So look at the eyes of Christopher Bell. He's focused forward in the corner. Focus forward, focus forward. He's going to work up onto the straightaway, and he's going to look up to the right. Right there. Looks in that mirror. How far back? That's what these guys are doing. Focus on my corner. All he cares about is his car, his car, his car, and then once he accelerates off the corner, that was not his car anymore. Where's that other car back there? Checks again. Continues to check that gap.
The other thing, these guys don't have the digital dash that is in the Cup Series, so they don't know what their lap times are without a crew chief telling them, here's your lap, or here's the gap.
That's exactly right. Some drivers love lap time. Some drivers love to hear tight right there, getting into 1. But some drivers like to hear what that gap is. You know, how far behind is he? What Christopher Bell's wheel, like when he drives in a corner, no wheel movement back to the right. That tells me he's not loose at all getting in the corner. Look at how solid the wheel is. You know, a little bit tight to the middle, but very, very little wheel motion. The car, obviously, the car is driving pretty well.
Back to an 0.8 of a second lead that he has over Cole Custer.
You're talking about the steering wheel of the 20 of Christopher Bell. We're fortunate enough to take a little peek. We can look inside the 00 of Custer. Maybe take a little look what we think about his car and how his car is driving. He's working the steering wheel right here. A little bit of a correction off the corner, kind of normal. You'd expect that. Let's see now as he enters turn 1.
See right there, that right hand kind of not committing to turn left. That tells me he's got a little bit of insecurity getting into the corner. See that move when he went back to the right on corner entry? Just a little bit free, the back of the car trying to slide around on corner entry.
And the concern is that's going to get worse. 57 laps to go, loose in. Normally what happens, you say, we talk about brake bias all day. Oh, I'm going to put some front braking. It's going to secure my car. Well, then the front brakes start to get warmer. And what happens then, they don't stop the car. The rears start to stop the car. Now the loose in gets even worse.
Let's get some updates from pit road. We start with Kelly.
Well, behind that duo of Bell and Custer is Justin Allgaier running third. And when we talk about cars that have good mid to long run speed, Justin Allgaier saying that he is not one of them. He said 30 laps into a run, he quote, tanks. And here's the rest of the team's conversation.
I just don't know where they get the center and into the run speed. Like, I can keep up with them at the beginning, but I can just tell that I'm pushing the tires off. It might just go way too quick.
And at the start of this run, he said, I really feel like I want to be saving, but I'm pushing as hard as I can, and still I'm just losing ground to Bell and Custer. Dave?
Kelly, when we showed that most points earned graphic a little while ago, you noticed that Austin Cindric had just 5 points less than Christopher Bell, who had won both stages so far. That was goal number 1 accomplished. Then they started working on this race car and took a fairly significant swing at it with a little tape on the nose and a large air pressure adjustment. The car's been better. The times were better when he fired off, Parker.
Dave, Noah Gragson to run 6 has the typical young driver story here at Richmond. He showed up here a year ago in a Joe Gibbs car. He finished 2nd, so he came here in the spring with a lot of confidence. They finished 22nd. So after that, he went back with his team and said, all right, what made me so good in that Joe Gibbs car? They went through it. They quizzed him. They asked him all the right questions. They put all those things into this 9 car, and he told me after qualifying, I've got a great race car, and he's showing it here tonight, Dylan.
And Parker, Ryan C. continues to impress, running in the 8th spot in that 39 car. This first round of the playoffs is a big opportunity for them. They admittedly have been off the mark on some of the bigger racetracks, the 1.5 miles, but tracks like this, like Richmond, a small 3/4 mile racetrack, like Dover in a couple weeks, a mile racetrack. Those are big opportunities for these guys to score a lot of points. Everything, though, from this point, from tonight, is a bonus. They're overachieving. They know they've done that all year. They continue to put together a great run here, running in the 8th spot.
Ryan C. again in that 8th position. Bell up front. And 51 laps to go in the Xfinity Series Go Bowling 250th. You can catch all the action of NASCAR on NBC with the NBC Sports app. Watch live anytime, anywhere. Get closer with alternate camera angles, driver stats, track information. Riding along right along the track there is Justin Haley, and Haley right now in the 14th position. Everyone's still chasing after Christopher Bell. Let's go to the Mobile One Peacock Pit Box. Junior, any predictions? Can Bell hold all these guys off?
Yeah, I think if this race continues to go green, it's great for Christopher Bell on all the stages. He's been great at the back end of the stage. We've seen Cole Custer get better on the short run or the first 50 laps of a run. He's much better, even better than he was the stage before. But I just don't think that we're going to get that late run. But if we do get a caution and the 00 keeps making the same adjustments that are getting them closer to Christopher Bell on the early run, Cole Custer's told us in the past that he needs to be more aggressive on restarts. Well, if he gets that late restart on good new tires, I think he can put up the fight. But if we don't get that yellow, Christopher Bell's driving away from the field right now.
Yeah, 1.6 seconds now from Bell to Custer. And good little fight here. Cindric and Allgaier, that's for the 3rd position.
And I think Cindric just, his car is a little bit too strong on corner exit for the 7. He can run that bottom, Jeff, and accelerate off the bottom. You have to have good rear grip to do that.
I want to listen into Austin Cindric, the team communications there for the 22 team.
I really like your pace. You can afford to bring it down a little bit more. My thoughts with about 30 to 40 to go, the double zero is going to start backing off, which he already has now off the leader. The 7's going to start pressuring them, and hopefully we can beat them both at the end of the race if it stays green.
Why do you think he's going to back off? Why is Cole Custer backing off?
Well,
he thinks he is.
I think that he means that double zero is going to back off as far as pace. I think that the double zero is good on new tires, and they've just been watching. They graph all these lap times. They understand their competitors, and that right there was just a good explanation by Brian Wilson to his driver. Hey, you might not have seen the double zero all night. He's really fast on new tires here with about 30 to 40 to go. He's going to start losing some pace. He's going to come back to us. Just kind of keeping his driver in the game, in the race, explaining what he expects to see in the next 35 laps.
Dave.
The other thing for Cindric to consider is his crew chief's mentality with him. When I asked him today what the first race should be like, he used the calm down motion to me. That was Brian Wilson. He wanted this to go calmly. Well, you remember how qualifying went? He hit the wall. Well, he scraped the wall. Well, he almost spun out and then won the pole. The driver was just told to be very careful with the 7 driver as he was racing him. It's a long playoffs. So they're really trying to work with Austin to keep his mindset very calm, very focused, so that he doesn't lose points and does a lot of gaining like he is tonight, even though he's not leading the race.
Guys, if we're going to hand out awards, most improved driver, Austin Cindric.
Yeah.
I think Austin Cindric, he has taken such a huge step in his career this year. Speed's not been a question with him, right? His decision-making ability. This year, he has made some really good decisions, driven like a mature race car driver, one that has sat down and said, okay, how do I need to be better? What is it I can do to be better? Really impressed with how he's moved his ability forward.
And we just dropped the points in. You see him at plus 34 and 4th. I mean, I know it's not flashy, but it's survive, advance and survive. Every driver's goal is to go to Miami and try to win the championship.
At the end of 3 races, 4 drivers will be eliminated. So right now you see them down there 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Ryan Sieg outside of that top 8 that will advance to the 2nd round of the playoffs.
And listen, this shows you how difficult this series is. So Ryan Sieg, he's had a good night. He's running 9th. Ryan Sieg's running 9th. Brandon Jones running 12th. I mean, they're not running poorly, but everybody in front of them is having better nights.
See back here Noah Gragson and Harrison Burton. I was noticing on the scoring pylon, Harrison Burton running in the 7th position, Zane Smith in the 8th position. Harrison Burton 18, Zane Smith 20. 2 of the youngest guys on the racetrack tonight, and they're running in the top 10. I think that's impressive. I think when you get young kids like this that are moving up, trying to move through the ranks, Harrison spent a lot of time in the truck series and really getting his feet wet, I guess, in NASCAR. And then this is just his 4th start in the Xfinity series and already a 7th place finish.
You're making my head hurt, Rick, because I'm older than the 2 of them combined.
Well, hey, remember who you're hearing that from, too.
What's cool is they grew up racing together, right? They grew up and they've kind of gone up through the ranks together, raced all kinds of stuff together, known each other for forever. It's cool. Noah, he's in that group, too. They've all spent a lot of time together.
Earlier I was mentioning Christopher Bell, and he had won the stage 1 and stage 2, 6 races already, but he hasn't been able to close it out. Well, he's led 207 laps tonight. That's the 2nd most laps that he's ever led. The most he's ever led is 234. That was at Iowa earlier this year. He failed to win there. So Christopher Bell, nothing is a guarantee for him. He knows he has to save his equipment, and he has to be ready for anything that could possibly come his way with just 30 laps to go.
And Justin Haley has to be disappointed to see the leader go by with 30 laps to go. Thought he had a good car in practice, but it just hasn't materialized in the race. Welcome to Richmond. We say it all the time, Jeff. Day practice, a night race, everything happens quickly. It's basically one day for the Xfinity guys. A lot of decisions have to be made, and a lot of cars just don't seem to develop when the pace of the race comes.
29 laps remaining from Richmond, and let's go through the field. Let's start with Dave.
And Rick, even though they didn't win last weekend, I talked to Jason Radcliffe, the crew chief, about the dominance at Las Vegas. The typically humble Radcliffe tried to downplay it, saying that they were not racing at Texas there. They were not racing at other mile-and-a-half tracks that come up in the playoffs. So he tried to play it off a little bit, but let's be clear. What message are they sending again tonight? The 20 is a team you have to go through to get the trophy in Miami. Second place, Cole Custer. They've been working on that car all night. And again, the key is Mike Shiplett working with this young driver. Veteran crew chief with a lot of experience has been tuning the race car more to Custer's liking, told me that this morning. Third place, Austin Cindric. That driver, of course, working with a veteran crew chief as well. They've made that car better throughout, but the one thing they want to make sure they also did is clean up pit road. Remember last week they had issues. They worked on that hard this week to get the crew back in the game, and they've been on it tonight. Kelly?
Justin Allgaier making his 300th Xfinity Series start. He has nearly 100 other NASCAR Pro Series start, and his dad has never missed a single one of his NASCAR starts until tonight. He's been under the weather. He's in an area hospital, but feeling much better today. In fact, he was begging for a 4-hour hall pass to come see Justin race in person. You can be sure he's watching from the comfort of his hospital bed tonight. A little extra motivation for Allgaier. Behind him is Chase Briscoe, and he's poised for a top 5 finish at what he told me is his worst track here in the playoffs. He said, I just never have felt like, yeah, that's how you get around this place. But he admitted he should be better once he's on track and racing. And right now he could have a career best finish here at Richmond. Behind him, you see Harrison Burton. Now, 4 more starts for Harrison in the Xfinity Series this season. I asked him how he was going to handle racing around the other playoff drivers, and he said, look, I'm going to treat them exactly the same way I would have before the playoffs started. I'm not going to race them any harder. I'm not going to race them any easier. I think that's how they'd want it, Parker.
Right, Kelly, the driver he just went by is Noah Gragson, who I asked, what's the path through the playoffs here in this first round? He told me we need to finish 8th and we need to score stage points. They've scored 13 stage points, and currently right now he runs 7th. I'd say that's mission on point. The 9 car, Dylan.
And Parker behind him in the 8 car, running 8th is Zane Smith, of course, running a part-time schedule this year, getting better the longer we go in this race. Toughest part for him, he says, is getting reacclimated to this race car after some time off. He can do it quicker than most, his crew chief Taylor Moyer says, though. He's leaned on our colleague, of course, and his car owner, Dale Earnhardt Jr., to help give him some guidance around here. The goal for them, top 5. They're not in the driver's points battle, but they are in the owner's points battle, of course. Behind him, running in the 9th spot, Ryan Seed continues to put together a great run. They had their season best finish of 5th here in April and on track for another one here. They know they're capable of running right here in this 8, 9, 10 spot. They were 8th in points earlier this year. They expect to be there throughout this remainder of this round, Parker.
And Dylan, Michael Annette told me before this race, it's all about stage points. We need to score stage points in this first round. Well, they've done that. They scored the 4th most stage points in this race. But the thing is, for a driver to want to do that, sometimes there's risks that's being taken by the crew chief. What you saw Travis Mack do in stage 1. They have no more sticker tires left. If there was a caution right now, they'd be on scuff tires. They're running 10th, but scoring those 14 points. Michael Annette actually came across the radio and said, I'm bought in. And that's key for a strategy like that, Dylan.
And it's been an uphill battle for the driver right behind him, John Hunter Nemechek, of course, who had to start 38th today after an electrical issue in qualifying. They've fought their way up to 11th. They were up to 7th at the end of stage 1, but have since fallen back. A good run today. They need it. That hopefully provide a points buffer before we go to the Roval next weekend. They're in the group of people that are a little bit anxious about running the Roval. They'd really like a points buffer and a good run tonight here at Richmond. Parker?
Right, Dylan, and Brandon Jones has had just a tough night. It's kind of a microcosm of their season. Even when they have speed, things just go wrong. He told me this was going to be their toughest round. If they could just make it through this round, they felt like the next round has tracks that they really enjoy, that they run well at, but it has not gotten off to a good start, Kelly.
Tyler Reddick now running 12. Seems surprised to have qualified 3rd. He told me he's just not really been too good here at Richmond. And while at practice he felt like they had good balance in this 2 car, he felt like they just lacked some speed. Well, that balance seems to have gone away. He says he just doesn't have any rear grip, and it keeps getting tighter and tighter across the middle.
And Dylan Bassett. How about a shout to him, running 14th in that 90 car as we find him. There he is, working down the back straightaway. He spun in qualifying, started 34th, putting together a great run, beating some really, really strong contenders, including playoff contender Justin Haley, who has slipped back to 17th all the way down the leaderboard, and 1 lap down sits Justin Haley right now. Their goal coming into tonight, minimize the damage. They were optimistic about a new setup, a new approach that they had to this race car. Their goal was top 6 or 7. A good night has gone south in a hurry, and Haley's just trying to minimize the worst, getting worse now in the closing laps.
A long green flag run here, and 75 laps. That's the most that we have seen today. The pit window is 110 laps. So, Steve, we're not in any issue as far as fuel goes if this goes all the way to the end.
Yeah, no. These guys can easily make it on fuel. They're going to be screaming for tires. They would love to have a fresh set of tires, but with 16 laps to go, everybody's pretty well committed at this point.
You know, one thing, what you said, this is the furthest run that we've had. This is Richmond. This is a short track. Tons, we see the rotors glowing, tons of heat. I started to get nervous. We haven't gone this far. Is somebody going to melt a bead on the right front? That right front failed because of that excessive heat. That's not out of the question here at this race.
No, not at all. You see Justin Haley right here in the 17th position. We'll remind ourselves, he has a little bit better car than that, but if we go all the way back to the pit stop right here, you're going to see the 11 come in. They were penalized for too many men. Well, the extra man is actually going to step through the opening, and look, it's clear this is going to be a penalty as this front tire gets rolled towards the opening. See, they have the corrected mount. Everything's fine. But as this front tire rolls towards the opening, the guy just needs to wait. The tire is going to make it to him. He steps onto the hot side of pit road. That's too many men over pit wall. A simple mistake. You're going to see it right here. Just wait. The tire's coming to you. It's clearly a 7th guy, but that cost Haley at least 5, 6, 7 points. He's currently the last car on the playoff leaderboard at -20. Those are the mistakes you cannot afford when you're a team like the 11 and your pathway out of the first round is usually points.
That's just a mistake you can't have. Yeah, I mean, you know, your guys on your team need to know the rules. They have to know the rules. There's no need to go out there. The tire, as you said, the tire's coming to him. There was no need.
It was going to go through the opening.
Yeah, you couldn't even have to catch it.
That was right next to it.
The guy rolled it all the way to the garage.
And listen, there's people at home right now saying, why does NASCAR care? Well, here's why they care. Because if you don't make that call, you end up with 9, 10, 11 people doing little things like that. And you can't let that pit opening be an advantage, to, where other people can't do something. So that's the rule, and NASCAR has to enforce it.
Well, actually, Richmond Raceway here has done a very nice job of putting a white line. Not every racetrack has that, so it's clearer than ever where behind pit wall and over pit wall is defined. Mike Lynette, he has been grinding to try to catch this 39. Had pretty good laps, currently in the 10th position. That 39 car will be for 9th as the 00 here has been caught by the 22 of Cindric.
Cindric able to get by Cole Custer for that 2nd position.
Just like the crew chief said, the 00 will be coming back to you. 2 thumbs up to Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson, he needs to start telling some fortunes.
I tell you.
he read that perfectly.
I need some help with my fantasy team, Brian. I'll be calling you later.
Look at what Christopher Bell has been able to do. His win percentage at the short tracks. If you have a minimum of 10 starts, 39% he has been to victory lane. Better than Kyle Busch, better than the great Sam Ard, Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Pretty big names on that list, and Christopher Bell is dominating that list.
Pretty good list.
This is why so much is talked about Christopher Bell making that next step to the Cup Series.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of times in trucks, spent a lot of time in Xfinity. He's won in both. Won in everything he's ever sat in.
Well, he's won the Truck Series championship. If he can go on to win the championship here, he's got a long road in front of him to do that, though. He could challenge, potentially be the first ever to win a championship in all 3 of NASCAR's divisions, the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series. Right now, Austin Dillon has won the Truck Series and Xfinity Series, still looking for a Cup Series championship. Greg Biffle had won the Truck Series as well as the Xfinity Series, but no one's won all 3. And when you talk about wins, if Christopher Bell holds on for the next 7 laps and wins this race, it will be his 15th career win in just his 68th start. If you want to do the math, I'll let you know. 22% of his races started, he's won. 22%. That is a ridiculous win percentage in any series.
Yeah, that's crazy. And what I love about him is he can go hop in a midget next week.
Yeah, right.
Run up front. He can go hop. You know, he gets very. And hey, listen. Remember, he's not a road racer.
Right.
I can't road race. Well, guess what? He can do that.
Yeah, one there too. Yeah, just to put it into perspective, Kyle Busch has a 27% win percentage, and Sam Maher 24%. When you talk about that, I mean, Kyle Busch is a lock to be a Hall of Famer. Sam Maher, one of the biggest names ever run in the Xfinity Series.
And what this win will do, even though the 20 has the biggest bucket of points, right before the race he said, listen, last year I messed up a couple times. I went to Phoenix and must win. I think that has been weighing on Christopher Bell. The win here, you can now forget about the first round. Start working on equipment for the round of 8. Get your cars planned. Everybody's stress level can go down. Enjoy the first couple races.
Actually, he might be the only one that has fun next week. Right? If this finishes, it's not over yet. It's still 3 to go. But if this race finishes and you go into the Roval, like, that is I think that's the hardest road course in all the country. So he may be the only one goes over there and has fun.
Well, we're seeing history made, at least for Christopher Bell, because with that last lap led, he has led 235 laps. Now coming up on 2 laps to go. That's 236 laps. This is the most laps he has ever led in a race. And again, 2 laps away from his 15th victory.
I think everyone expected him to be good, but this is really a statement night. The playoffs are here, and I'm going to put my best career performance ever on this field. I like that. I like that statement to kick off the playoffs.
Yeah, you're really setting the tone as he has 1 lap to go now. The final time around this 3/4 mile short track. Christopher Bell now just a half a lap away from leading 238 laps here tonight at Richmond Raceway. Christopher Bell has put on a clinic. The 24-year-old from Norman, Oklahoma will win again. Win number 7 of the season.
With a slide across the start finish.
That's the way to get it done, boy. Woo, nice work.
Thank you, guys. That was fun stuff right there. Great job on this thing, guys.
And the celebration begins for the crew. And Jeff, have you ever had as dominant a car? Look at this, John Hunter Nemechek. Did he get a little help there?
Oh, what happened to this 23 right here?
It doesn't look like there's any damage to the body, but
scored in 15th place.
Yeah. He's getting good at burnouts, 7 of them already this year. That matches the most wins he has had in a season. I think coming into the playoffs, everyone was pointing their finger at Christopher Bell, saying, okay, he came in with 55 playoff points, has been putting on a pretty dominant performance. As Jeff, you mentioned, he's been able to win on the short track, on the 1.5 miles, now even on the road course races. He wins here again in the short track. And now of the last 11 short track races, he's won 6 of them, and the other 5, 3 of those he's finished second. So Christopher Bell is putting himself in really an elite category.
I think Steve, crew chiefs matter, right?
Oh yes.
Jason Ratcliffe and Christopher Bell.
He's searching for a young fan here, by the way. We've seen this before out of Christopher Bell and a lot of the Xfinity Series drivers. They've given the checkered flag away to a young fan. And you're seeing right now, he's asking the NASCAR official if he'll give that checkered flag to a young fan. And sure enough, look at this. There's a treasure.
Well, he's got the right T-shirt
That's why
on.
I got the flag.
I mean, he wore the right hat, the right T-shirt.
That's a treasure you'll hang on to for a lifetime. He just got the checkered flag from Rutledge.
Boy, Christopher Bell, man, all smiles, led almost every lap, found a kid in the crowd to give the flag to. Congratulations, win number 7.
Yeah, man, that one was pretty special. Going 92 laps straight there is really difficult, man. We were sliding all around, and I felt like if I could get to traffic, I was going to be in good shape because my car could really move around good. I could run up, I could run down. So the 00 was keeping pressure on us pretty good, but this Ream Supra was too good.
You said this week that it's really important to you to try to win this championship, and it sure seems like you threw that gauntlet down tonight.
Man, we've been really, really fast, really all year long, but the last 3 races we had an opportunity to win. So we've been slacking a little bit, and I'm glad we got it done today.
What do you want to say to these fans tonight?
I just want to say thank you for coming out. It's an honor to run in front of you guys. If you guys don't come out, then we don't have anyone to race for. So thank you to all the fans that come out. Enjoy a good one tomorrow.
We'll see you in Victory Lane, buddy.
Can't wait.
Christopher Bell wins number 7 of the year here at Richmond.
And he's going to make the familiar run back to Victory Lane. It'll be Xfinity Series post-race coverage coming up next, followed by Mecum Auto Auctions from Louisville. All smiles tonight for Christopher Bell. A career-high laps led at 238. Tying his best season for wins with 7. And now the first to advance to the round of 8 in the Xfinity Series playoffs. If you want momentum, Christopher Bell's got it. Raceway as we look at the playoff leaderboard. And first race in the books. Christopher Bell, the win. Again coming in, if you remember, from 5th down to 12th, they were separated by 12 points. Now you see a huge gap between Justin Allgaier and all the way down to John Hunter Nemechek. So some good runs for Allgaier, Michael Annett, Chase Briscoe, Noah Gregson with good nights helping them out. And now already in a hole will be Brandon Jones, Ryan Sieg, Justin Haley, and John Hunter Nemechek trying to dig out of that hole.
A lot of pressure on those guys going to Charlotte next week. They all wanted to have much better runs than that just to take some pressure off, but it didn't happen. How about it, Dave?
Yeah, Dave, let's watch him celebrate.
I think that would be fun right here in Richmond's 2-year-old now, Victory Lane. He's going to towel off just a little bit and now take the welcome shower from his team. Yeah, it doesn't matter what they throw at you after a night like tonight, right?
Oh, man, Gatorade's never felt better.
So the night started with you telling me that your car was telling you it wasn't very good in qualifying. What kind of magic sauce did you throw at it?
Well, I think I told you that it wasn't good in qualifying, so hopefully that meant it was good on the long run. And it was pretty good on the short and the long run. They, the 00 could kind of close a little bit on us in the middle part of the run, but just try to keep hitting my marks, keeping the rear tires underneath of me, and run over that yellow line.
Did you have any concerns as Cole closed in, and even late in the race, the 22 was coming from far back?
I just try and keep a gauge on my gap there, and when the 00 was closing, I was getting nervous because, man, I was trying not to slip the tires, and I was pretty much running as hard as I could without slipping them, and he was gaining on me a little bit at a time there, and it seemed like, my car could move around maybe a little bit better than his, and lap traffic got me a little bit of a gap. But it was tough work, man. 90 laps here is difficult. You feel like you're basically crawling by the end of it. But man, this Ream Supra was really, really good, and I'm just thankful that I get to drive for Joe Gibbs Racing, and glad I can drive for all of our partners at Toyota, TRD, all the people at Xfinity that put on this series. It's a lot of fun to drive these cars right now. Dominating
performance tonight. Message sent. Christopher Bell will be hard to beat for the championship. Dylan?
And Dave, the guy who was trying to track him down was Austin Cindric. A solid start to the playoffs, come home in the runner-up spot. You shaved 7 seconds off at one point, but we were just talking, kind of felt like when you got close enough to maybe strike, Christopher was able to just drive away. What more did you need, if anything, there to be able to make a move?
He's pretty good, isn't he? Yeah, two second-place finishes here at Richmond this year has been great. Really great execution today. Yeah, it's hard to say what he had, only he knows that, but no, me and my spotter did a great job managing what we needed to do with the run there, and Brian made the right adjustment heading into the third stage to get me the long run speed. So all in all, a great start of the playoffs for Moneyline Ford Mustang. We're definitely not quiet here, so I'm happy about that, and we'll keep bringing the momentum.
Yeah, really good day for this 22 bunch. Second for Austin Cindric. Parker.
And the guy trying to chase them down was Cole Custer, who finishes third. A little bit under the weather. Cole, you got so close to that 20 car, and then he just gapped you towards the end. What more did you need?
A little bit of everything. I mean, we were just kind of loose to start the run, and it just kind of got worse, and I probably had too much brake. I was using too much brake. I got too tight center, so I don't know. I was wishing that we could have gotten the Go Bowling car in victory lane. We were really close there for a second. I just didn't quite have the long run speed, but it's a really good way to start off the playoffs. I think, we have a really good cushion going into the Roval, so no idea what to expect there usually. But really, really great day especially how qualifying went. So just can't thank everybody at Go Bowling for performance, Haas Automation. I mean, just really good way to start off.
Valiant effort by Cole Custer. A little bit under the weather. Kelly.
A fourth-place finish for Justin Allgaier in his 300th career start in the Xfinity Series. And Justin, considering you had to start this one from the back of the field, how successful was this start to the playoffs?
Well, it's successful, but also disappointing. Really, really proud of everybody at Junior Motorsports. Our Brent Professor Agriculture Camaro was good all day. I mean, we practiced well. We qualified on the front row, which was great. And then, obviously, having to go to the back was disappointing. But just a solid day. The guys did a great job on pit road. And we just battled. We weren't quite as good as the cars that beat us there at the end, but we were able to get ourselves into a good spot and ride there and finish it off strong. So hats off again to all these guys. I said earlier my dad was in the hospital, so I was bummed that he wasn't able to watch, but he told me that he didn't get to watch much of the race because everybody was calling him. So I was glad that he got to watch on the Xfinity app and watch you guys on NBC Sports. So disappointing that we finished fourth, but still a great points day. We'll come out of Richmond and hopefully go to the Roval and have a good solid afternoon.
And 21 points for Justin Allgaier over that cut line.
Yeah, those are very, very important. Again, coming up, more post-race coverage from right here at Richmond Raceway. And then, of course, Mecum Auctions Louisville will be at the other side of the hour. And we had shown earlier the 23 with a little bit of an issue, guys.
Wow, pretty aggressive getting into turn 3 by Joe Kraft Jr. John Hunter Nemechek chases him back down into 1. Return the favor a little bit. Spins him around. Spins himself around.
Again, more post-race coming up after this. Well, the celebration will continue all night. Again, night racing, short track racing from Richmond Raceway. It was all about Christopher Bell tonight here in the Xfinity Series. Tomorrow, it's all about the Monster Energy Cup Series as they'll take on the short track.